Welcome to Living in Beauty. It's Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, day 1667 on the road, and we're on the Gulf Coast of the Florida Panhandle. Even as full-time, free-ranging Homo sapiens sapiens, these cross-country treks to beat the weather are a challenge. Leaving point A with the goal of reaching point B has all the thrill of a foot race, with the starting line excitement and the finish line euphoria. But the real drama is in the unknown developments, the tension between A and B. Generally speaking, travelers prefer the known to the unknown. That's why cruise ships and airlines provide distractions. Movies, booze, magic shows, contests, gambling, to relieve the tension of that ever-present hum of travel, which most passengers find unnerving. Me? I love engines. The sound, the smell, the rumble. I get that from my dad, a mechanical engineer. Whenever his babies had trouble sleeping at night, he'd take us for a drive. The jingle of his keys signaled relief was on the way. Then the crank of the starter, the intoxicating whiff of fuel, the purring of the engine, the crunch of the gravel beneath the tires, still my favorite sound in the world as the car backs out of the driveway. These sensations soothed and transported me into the world of sleep. Uh-oh. Maybe that's why I'm kind of vulnerable to nodding off at the wheel, even after a full and satisfying night's rest. A trait easily managed with good coffee, right? Yes, but it's complicated these days. Caffeine, my backstabbing friend, is betraying me in my old age. When we were young and poor, Jim and I accomplished many caffeine-fueled cross-country drives, stopping only for gas. But decades of entertaining that delicious black elixir of inspiration and energy has rendered the stuff a poison to me. A mere cup of half-caff in the morning keeps my brain's terminal open all night, rerouting old baggage. Even so, I don't feel safe to drive the rig without a Java boost. Now, these long cross-country journeys begin with a fresh me and finish with a blurry, caffeine-whipped Carmen plodding through a mushy week or two of withdrawal. But until our eyes have seen enough, we will continue to embrace the annual and sometimes biannual activity of playing chicken with extreme weather conditions while under the influence of one thing or another. It's the road candy that keeps us going, rare and unusual scenery, murmurations of starlings, unusual cloud formations, rusty farm equipment, faded signs pushing product that no longer exists, Hojos, Stuckies, pea soup Andersons, all but eliminated in the 70s and 80s by interstate highways and cheap airfare. Now, the map above details the Living in Beauty Cali 10 crawl. 4 weeks in 18 overnight locations with many free campsites. We saw much, and we missed much more. But if we're lucky enough to pass that way again, you can bet there'll still be plenty to chew on. Our first stop, Clovis, California. With plans to visit 559 Brewery, we parked overnight in Clovis, the 10th fastest growing city in California. Now, we're not ready to settle down, but Clovis, with its proud hometown vibe and lovingly restored Old Town, has the stuff to change our minds. The Links at River Lakes in Bakersfield, California. Golf courses are great places to overnight in metro areas. On this sweltering hot Bakersfield evening, I heard someone call my name. It was Pete, a Living in Beauty follower, driving past in his golf cart. We had a pleasant chat about pre-retirement and planning for full-time travel. Pete, a truck driver, offered great tips about Highway 40. Shady Lanes RV Park, Barstow, California. On our way to Barstow, we pulled off at King Cafe for the traffic-stopping Huevos Rancheros. The shady outdoor dining yard under the oaks overlooking the valley is one of the best-kept roadside cafe secrets in California. We waited too long to stop by Elmer Long's Bottle Tree Ranch. Elmer passed away in 2019, and apparently the bird feeders hadn't been filled since. Yet, happy birds were everywhere. Maybe the bottles attract flying insects. I don't know. No one was around to answer questions. It was a self-serve free attraction. We couldn't even find a donation box. But the remote site, unmolested by vandals, was open to visitors. All you have to do is push open the fake chain lock on the gate. Elmer's life work, horrifying, hilarious, serene, is a totem to the sharp edge of Western expansion. Elmer is gone, but his found art installation still rips consumerism a fresh one, exposing the ironies forced upon our cheap yet priceless land in this hard but delicate existence, even as he celebrates our awkwardly beautiful lives. That night, in a hot and dusty Barstow, we found a nothing special desert trailer park, but at least it lived up to its name, Shady Lane. The next morning, we set out on Old Route 66 and pulled off for brunch in Ludlow. The Ludlow Cafe is not the original Ludlow Cafe, but it had plenty of parking where we could have stayed overnight with the big trucks. Thanks, but no. Sleeping with the big trucks is an act of desperation. So we followed the railroad, crossed over the Colorado River into Arizona, breezed through Kingman, to Mike's Outpost Saloon for some top-notch grub and shut-eye. We had the Taco Tuesday salads, with a perfect cowboy sunset on the side. Woody Mountain Campground, Flagstaff, Arizona. Ever since living in beauty, Jim has arranged a birthday surprise. But considering the pandemic possibilities, I was expecting nothing more than a lovely grilled salmon dinner at our charming site at the Woody Mountain Campground. I was stunned when Jim pulled off the annual October surprise. A formal 5-course meal served by a real waiter. At Josephine's Modern American Bistro, we celebrated my Beatles' birthday under the pines. He still needs me. He still feeds me. We lingered in Flagstaff for a few days, but it rained for most of them. Someday, when you-know-what's over, we'd love to stay in Flagstaff for the fair weather months. McHood Campground, Winslow, Arizona. When the weather cleared, we continued on Route 66 toward Winslow, our destination for the night. The weather was gorgeous, so we thought we'd stay for a few days, hike the park, paddle Clear Creek. But that was not to be. As we pulled into warm and sunny McHood Park Campground, we got that all-alone feeling, which usually means we should check the weather report. Sure enough, snow was predicted within 24 hours. So the next morning, we toured charming Winslow and returned to the campground in the early afternoon to prepare for a 45-degree drop in temperature. The following morning, we woke to the chill of frost. We hitched up and pulled out of Winslow and stopped by Little Painted Desert County Park for the spectacular rim view of the canyon. Freezing rain was on the way, so we switched on the furnace, had a big hot breakfast, and moved up the road toward Holbrook. Crystal Forest Museum, Holbrook, Arizona. Holbrook is an outdoor mid-century museum. In normal times, it's bustling with activity and fun, but it was ghostly and quiet on this icy COVID day. But our campsite, compliments of the Crystal Forest Museum and Gift Shop, was loaded with interests and kept us in the Route 66 spirit. We huddled in the trailer, furnace full blast, playing oldies and grooving on the cotton candy sunset. Petrified Forest National Park. The next frosty morning, we woke to sad news. Our friend, Nina, who had been sick for months, had passed. I opened the door to see how the world had changed. It was so cold, but I just wanted to go for a walk. So we brewed a pot of coffee, skipped breakfast, and drove a few miles to the Petrified Forest National Park. We wore masks as required, but no one was there. It was just we three and these petrifications, where ancient trees had come to rest after a violent act of nature, a Triassic flash flood. On that morning, I had little interest in sightseeing or even where we were. But history will not be silent. And as the sun came out from behind the clouds, these ancient trees asserted their message from the beyond. All is not lost. Nothing is permanent. Look at us. We still have presence. We went back to the rig for hot breakfast and coffee. Then we drove along the Badlands to Blue Mesa Trail to walk some more. These mountains erode at least an inch per year. Here, I felt my friend's presence, her heart, her wit, the fierceness of her intellect. This melting frost presented ideal conditions for the namesake color of this terminally ill range to come out in spectacular display. Badlands. There's a word. A place bridging the trauma of death and the unbearable ache of grief that diminishes incrementally over time. Chambers, Arizona. Mobile station. Okay, we slept with the big trucks. No shame in it, just check that one off the list. Route 66, Junkyard Brewery, Grants, New Mexico. We entered New Mexico and crossed the Continental Divide. Then we took the exit to Grants as guests of the Route 66 Brewery for the night. This was a fascinating adventure. And we can check sleeping in a junkyard/outdoor movie theater/brewery/campground off the list. We grabbed 2 chairs without snow on them and enjoyed some excellent brew in classic junkyard style. If we had arrived on a movie night, it would have been even more fun. This brilliant idea should be franchised. Every town should have a junkyard/brewery/outdoor theater/campground. Add weekend farmers market/dog training facility/running track. The possibilities are endless. San John Municipal Park, San John, New Mexico. Leaving Grants, we drove up to the sweet little town of San John, where travelers are welcome. Free municipal, overnight, no hookups camping is provided in a lighted park across the street from the police. Interesting how wealthier towns than San John dismiss this service as unaffordable. The grounds are nicely kept with bathrooms, tennis courts, and a ball field. Comfort food was in order, so Jim rode his new Dolphin e-bike a couple of blocks to an authentic Punjabi dhaba restaurant. These specialty trucking stops are currently sprouting up along U.S. highways. We also gassed up and filled our propane in San John. We're proud to spend money in cities where safe, clean, convenient parking and services are provided. Thank you, San John. Lake Meredith, Fritch, Texas. Next morning, we crossed over into Texas for some quiet time and spectacular sunsets at Lake Meredith National Recreational Area. We stayed for 2 days, and every spare hour was spent exploring around the little town of Fritch and this sprawling national park. We'd have stayed longer, but you guessed it, a huge winter storm was on the way. Now, Fritch perked my foodie senses when I noticed a tea room. Evidently, high tea is a thing in this part of Texas. That settles it. When this pandemic is over, we shall return for more free camping, kayaking, and some of that cowboy tea. Lucky Star Casino, Clinton, Oklahoma. Outrunning that winter storm, we entered Oklahoma. We turned into the complimentary overnight parking lot for the Lucky Star Casino. The RV area was fully lighted, clean, patrolled, quiet, and completely empty. We checked the weather for bad news. Seeing we were in the clear, we tooled around the asphalt, but couldn't find a level spot. So we parked and walked around. Certain that the most level spot is at the top of the hill, we settled the rig between two light poles. Still, it took every Trilynx leveler we own to keep Jim on his side of the bed. Last stop store, Chakotah, Oklahoma. The next morning, after passing through Oklahoma City, we were the delighted overnight guests of the last stop store. After purchasing some house-made Southern delicacies, our host showed us to a concrete pad in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Chakotah, where we watched the election results. Gulfa Gorge Campground, Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. To increase our chances of securing a first-come, first-served spot at Hot Springs National Park, we pulled out of Chakotah at first light. That crisp, autumn Arkansas morn slowed the world down several beats to that familiar and most manageable southern rhythm that Jim and I love so well. We pulled into Hot Springs National Park at about 11 in the morning and scored the last open space at Gulfa Gorge. The next day, we moved to a better space on the riverbank. The leaves were peak color. We spent long hours hiking the trails. This park is a coveted autumn destination. We were lucky to be there. Bass Pro Shop, Memphis, Tennessee. We drove into Memphis on a rainy day. I am only acquainted with Memphis because my niece, Beth, was treated for cancer here at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Memphis is a city of heroes with a heart-wrenching history of reaching out to offer a helping hand. And it's beautiful. The virus kept workers and residents home, so the streets were hauntingly quiet. We parked, compliments of Bass Pro Shop, housed in the world's 10th largest pyramid. The parking area where RVs are allowed is under the bridge. It was lighted very brightly and patrolled with 24-hour security. Sleeping under a major urban highway. Check. The sun came out next morning, so we took our Dolphin e-bikes to town for coffee and pastry, and this exhilarating 2-hour spin on Big River Trail. Cracker Barrel Old Country Store, Dixon, Tennessee. We were 2 days short of a self-imposed 2-week period of isolation. No indoor shopping, outdoor visits with friends, before arriving to my sister's house. So we ambled for a couple of days through Tennessee. As always, thank you, Cracker Barrel, for the sweet digs. Delmonico Winery, Baxter, Tennessee. This was our second visit to Delmonico Winery, and we knew what to expect, so we crossed the tracks into the grounds and took our usual quiet spot beside the tracks, which are not used for the night. Wearing the last of our clean clothes, we settled down onto their magnificent porch. The staff, alerted to our delicate circumstance, applied every required procedure to deliver a delicious, no-contact Southern dinner and made us feel like royalty. And let me tell you, they know what they're doing with those green tomatoes. Next morning, Beauty had to take a serious dump. We would be dry camping at my sister's house way up in the mountains, far from any services, so we stopped by Cumberland Mountain State Park to perform the honors. For a small fee, we were able to maintenance our tanks to squeaky clean perfection.
Cumberland Mountain is a dreamy park, rustic and woodsy, with all the perks. We'd stay here if we didn't already have our own private campsite nearby. That afternoon, we arrived safe and sound to our Smoky Mountain destination. So, to sum up, the road to my sister's house is really long. But looking back, the eye candy along the way makes it feel like a breeze. And at the end of the road, I have a dedicated registered nurse to guide me through the symptoms of caffeine withdrawal. Thank you for joining us at Living in Beauty. If you like this post and want to be notified when a new one is released, please enter your email address and click the follow button at the bottom of this page. For more info, check out our travel maps and facts. Okay, that's it for now. Safe and happy travels, and see you next time.